Welcome to Off Book Recaps. Today I've explained a 2008 super action sci-fi thriller film called Death Race. Keep alert, spoilers are incoming. The film opens with undisputed Frankenstein, the fourth time Victor and his navigator Case are about to complete their fifth victory, but driver named Machine Gun Joe can't let them have it. Frantically, Joe fires at them, but not in clear view because a third driver enters the death tunnel. Machine Gun rained bullets to his car and weeds him out. Now Machine Gun Joe remains one-on-one with Frankenstein in the first place, but he's uncomfortable because he has been cornered. So he orders Case to drop the backshield to use it as the hammer. Case refuses because they're still alive because of the backshield. Then he tries oil, smoke and napalm, but nothing seems to be working. Then Frankenstein drops the shield in order to stop Joe. The hammer hits Machine Gun Joe's car, only damaged but not stopped. Now Frankenstein's gasoline tank is now exposed. Then Case argues Frankenstein to drive back, but he refuses because it's only a quarter mile to the finish line. As a result, Case ejects herself through the roof of the car. Immediately Frankenstein's car gets struck by the missile and lights into flames before crossing the line. In the outside world, where the economy has collapsed, steel mills already announced to its workers that it's shutting down the factories. Jensen Ames' deepest fear has just arrived. Co-workers tells him to go and meet his family, which he has taken long without seeing them. It's paycheck time, take it or leave it is the situation. After working for 120 hours, workers' paychecks drastically decrease to $300 without any proper explanation. They become agitated. Immediately, police is called to cordon off the area and calm the situation. When the police start firing live bullets, the industrial workers decide to fight back in order to defend their rights. After a long day of disappointment, Jensen returns home to see his devoted baby mother, but he feels unworthy of her because she is so kind and considerate and doesn't care about his financial situation. When their daughter cries, Jensen checks on her, but a masked intruder appears in the kitchen and kills his wife. After hearing noises downstairs while using the restroom, Jensen hastily goes down to check and finds his wife's lifeless body on the floor. Jensen is doused with drugs, knocking him out, and shows him the shoot gesture. He eventually awakens holding a bloody weapon and surrounded by police. A distraught guy is taken into custody for his wife's murder. 6 months later, Jensen was found guilty and given a life sentence and taken to the notorious high maximum prison on the Terminal Island, where prisoners brutally execute themselves in front of the spectators. Jensen is received by an officer named Alec, immediately given the collectional number and photographed. Alec orders him to face against the wall, then he washed him using freezed water and detergents. He's then escorted to his cell where he punches his fellow inmates and lulls them to sleep. It's time for dinner, as rumors run fast about Jensen as the fastest driver the streets have ever seen, but he is soon surrounded by an inmate provokingly spitting on his food. And the leader of the Brotherhood gang arrives, who calls him a wife killer and a pedophile. Jensen can no longer take it. He strikes several jabs and hooks, but helplessly knocked out and separated by security guards, who then handcuff him and taken to the prison warden named Hennessy. According to his file, Jensen demonstrates some driving skills, so he has the necessary abilities to maintain the famed Frankenstein's monster alive by wearing his mask. She shares with him her little-known fact that Frankenstein passed away the day after the crush. She continues, the offer is Jensen has to win one race to complete Frankenstein's championship and walk free, that's the deal, or else he has to spend all his incarceration in the solitary. Obviously, Jensen agrees the deal and is then introduced to his mechanical team coach, Gunnar, and lists. He's taken around to their fully functional auto shop. Strictly other teams, they don't help us, we don't help them. Coach unveils to Jensen his modified Mustang that's V8 Roush with a Ford Racing supercharger, with 850 horsepower engine with sequential multi-port fuel injection, 3/4-inch steel plate bulletproof glasses and 6-inch solid steel called Tombstone. Coach informs Jensen that on the day of the race, he will be given female navigator name Case. Then Gunnar informs him about the other competitors, including 14K, a Chinese American who has amassed 11 bodies on and off the truck, Hector Grimm, a clinical psychopath serving 3 consecutive life sentences for the murder of 18 people, Pochenko, the local chapter of the Brotherhood, accumulated 9 bodies on and off the truck, and Travis Scott, local superstar with 3 bodies on the truck, and Machine Gun Joe. He cuts each kill into his skin as a souvenir. However, Machine Gun Joe ends their conversation. He warns Frankenstein that when they will face off in the following round, only one driver will emerge from his car alive after the race. The following morning, Hennessy gives Jensen the Frankenstein's ring and the mask because he is disfigured by the crushes, so Jensen has to put it on before being escorted out of the cell. Machine Gun Joe can't wait to kill Frankenstein on and off the truck. From the coach's mouth, since Frankenstein didn't interact with other drivers, Jensen must maintain his status because it contributed to his mystique. The issue with female navigators is now apparent and the crowd starts acting strangely. Case introduces herself and promises to watch his back better than she did for the real Frankenstein. When Jensen removes the mask, Case tells Jensen that he has a better looking than the last Frankenstein. While Jensen gets prepared for the race, he asks Case the reason for incarceration. Case reveals to him that she murdered a dirty cop. Car revving, and when the race is started, weapons aren't activated in the first lap, but drivers attempt to shove each other off the track. Case is familiar with the terrain. It's simple for Jensen to compete because she points out the shortcut, and succeeds in passing him into the first spot. But Machine Gun Joe rams his vehicle again and forces him off the road. Jensen tries to catch up, who then charges back and jumped onto Machine Gun car. Case points out another shortcut and escapes from Crazy Joe. Hennessy activates the weapons. One has to step on the manhole for swords. As soon as Death Heads activated, Grimm steps on the manhole and killed one instantly. Machine Gun Joe shoves, hit and frantically fires at Grimm's car, but shielded himself with oil, which makes Joe's car to roll over. In the middle of the road, stranded and distressed, Grimm fires to 14K like an angry man, but the Chinese shoots spikes that fracture Grimm's tires, causing his car to roll over. Then 14K launches the RPG that hits Grimm's car and turns into scrap. Grimm tells Hennessy she can't kill him today. Immediately Machine Gun Joe smashes the head and eliminates him. Eventually Jensen evades the weapons, but the guns get stuck. Case opens the window on the hood of the car. She tries to fix it manually, but receiving heavy gun fire from Travis Scott Navigator. Thanks to Jensen's driving experience, he dodges all the bullets and safely. Case enters and sits back. Machine Gun Joe wants Frankenstein dead, so he shoots wildly to Jensen, accelerates to overtake and steals the shields from Scott, tries to fire, but again the attempt to shoot is unsuccessful. Even the tombstone will not protect him any longer because it's getting direct heavy bullets. Then Jensen come up with a plan and unhook napalm, tells Case to sit on his lap and shoot the napalm oil to the air, direct to Scott's car, and she lights up the lighter. It's obvious Scott can't survive the ignited flames. Only 5 drivers left. Then Jensen accelerates more quickly but loses concentration when Pachenko makes the gesture similar to the killer, his wife. Immediately, Jensen's car gets hit up to the wall, then finishes last. After the race, Gunner and the mechanical team notices the car got tampered with. Angrily, Jensen confronts the warden with a lot of unanswered questions. Jensen announces that he will not race anymore because he is no longer interested. To show who's in charge, Hennessy shows him the photo of the couple who adopted his daughter, and warns him that if he wants to see her again he must do as she directs. Then Jensen attacks her but only picks up his daughter's photo. After looking at Jensen's daughter, Coach says he doesn't believe Jensen's killed his wife, and because it seems someone flamed him in order to come and succeed Frankenstein. Later in the auto shop, when Jensen is fixing some parts of his car, Pachenko passes by. Then Jensen decides to follow him because he has unfinished business with Pachenko. Jensen is struck with a metal pipe by Pachenko's goon, and tries to choke him using the chain. Pachenko tells him no one disrespects him and stays alive. Before Pachenko smashes his head with heavy-duty spanner, Liz stabs him in the backside with the pen. Lucky enough, Jensen locates a fragment of a metal and strike into the abductor's leg, thumps everyone in his sight while aiming for Pachenko. When Jensen comes face to face with Pachenko, he hits him with a toolbox and becomes helpless. Without being prompted, Pachenko confesses that Hennessy sent him to kill Jensen's wife so they could frame and replace him as Frankenstein. Before Jensen finishes Pachenko with heavy steel pipe, the security guards electrocute Jensen and neutralizes him. The following day of the death race, Jensen starts at slow pace and threatens to toss Case out the window if she can't tell him what happened to Frankenstein. Case confesses to him that she sabotaged the weaponry because Hennessy promised to give her freedom. She had to make sure Frankenstein didn't have to win, because Frankenstein was making a lot of profits to the private corporation, so he can't win either. After knowing the truth, Jensen accelerates his Mustang out of the warehouse in seconds back to the track, quickly shoves Machine Gun Joe out of the race. Then Jensen's rammed Pachenko's car to the wall after Jensen avoids the shield's manhole intentionally and takes the swords. Unexpectedly, Jensen overturns and begin firing madly to each other. After firing enough rounds, Jensen turns back and releases the smoke, creating curtain of opaque cloud. Lethally, Pachenko crushes to the concrete up to the ground. Jensen parks in the middle of the road to confirm if he's dead. Pachenko crawls on the stomach while pleading for assistance. Then Jensen exits his vehicle and kills him by breaking his neck. Because of this, Hennessy orders the release of a dreadnought that has been built for months. The tank, equipped with semi-automatic weapons and flamethrower, it quickly fires RPG and blasts into 2 racers on spot. It seems unstoppable. Next is 14K in the line of fire. It drills his car with the hooks and grinds his navigator into pieces, pulls him into the killing position, then blasts him, leaving no traces. With only 2 drivers left, Jensen realizes they must act quickly to destroy this monster vehicle before it's too late. Jensen asks Coach to connect him to Machine Gun Joe to drive offensively against the tank. They drive side by side to divert the shooter. Both activate the death heads. The monster tank then collides disproportionately and irreparably beyond repair with the hooks. Because of this, Hennessy fumes while the entire prison applauds and sings Frankenstein and Machine Gun Joe names. Later, Hennessy reaches the conclusion and orders Officer Alec to kill Jensen by planting a bomb under Jensen's race vehicle because it's just a mask anyway. In the auto shop, the coach shows Jensen the weakest and damaged are at the bridge. Jensen asks Gunnar for an extra half-liter gallon to his vehicle because he has some plans. Death Race Stage 3, only 2 racers are left. But before the race, Hennessy gives Jensen his release papers that have been fully signed. She proposes another deal to Jensen. Even if he wins, she wants him to stay as Frankenstein, but according to Jensen he can't see it happen. Then he's escorted to his car. Without being asked, Case confesses to Jensen that Hennessy reached out to her in order to stop him from winning in exchange for her release papers. As the engines roar for the final stage, Officer Alec instructs to deactivate the sword's manhole for Jensen but active to Joe. Machine Gun Joe frantically fires at Jensen's car, damaging the back shield. Jensen orders Case to drop the tombstone, but Joe easily avoids it because it's an old trick from Frankenstein. Machine Gun Joe pulls out his big guns and shoots all his rocket-propelled grenades. Jensen avoids them, hit and drills a hole at the weakest spot of the bridge, which created a curtain of flames. Then Frankenstein and a Machine Gun Joe crosses and escapes through it before anyone discovers anything. Eventually, Hennessy ultimately sees that Joe and Frankenstein have escaped through the hole. She fumes and orders the internet to be shut down, and dispatches all police cars available begin a manhunt. Hennessy attempts to detonate the bomb but nothing happens because it was defused. Instantly Hennessy orders the helicopters to the air. Terminal Island Bridge has been let off the hook, but Case still inquires about Jensen's true identities because she's having a good time riding along with him. Jensen utilizes a half-gallon tank to ignite police vehicles to frames, which is a very excellent adaptation. At the crossroads, Jensen orders Machine Gun Joe to divert and take different direction, but Hennessy instructed the pilot to stay on Jensen's car because he's the most wanted prisoner. Jensen jumped off the car, leaving Case behind the wheels with his coverall and the mask. Case is being pursued by helicopters for miles. Unfortunately, she can't drive any further since the helicopters fired convection area and created a wall of frames. She utilizes the car's roof to stand up when the hands are in air. Obviously, police apprehends her when she is dressed as Frankenstein and taken back. Jensen and a Machine Gun Joe flees by the train, back to the prison. Thanksgiving and congratulations for breaking the subscribers record. Hennessy receives a gift only to find out it's a bomb. Surely it explodes, killing them both. Of course it's known that it is Coach's hand works. 6 months and 2,000 miles later, in Santa Rosalia, Mexico, Machine Gun Joe and Jensen started a fully operating auto shop in the middle of the desert. Surprisingly, a modified Mustang shows up, only to find out it's Case and who finally got her release papers. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to click on like and subscription button for more videos like this.